Yes, it is time to talk about this film. If you guys missed it, I talked about Resident Evil Damnation and how the film isn't that great, but it is a pretty satisfying fan service film for the Resident Evil fans, especially those who just played Resident Evil 2 Remake recently. Anyway, now we have Resident Evil Vendetta, so let's just get straight to business. Welcome to appabendyt Recapped. Every frame has the potential for great jokes. Today's film is Resident Evil Vendetta, a film that was released 2 years ago, so it's a relatively young film. And before we start off this recap, this video is brought to you by my loyal subscribers, viewers, and donators. You can support this channel, links down below. Also, huge thanks to Rex for the pledge on Patreon. You are fantastic. Since we're going to recap this film, expect spoilers ahead. Resident Evil Vendetta opens with Leon S. Kennedy shooting a zombie that just recently woke up. Now, this film takes place after Resident Evil 6, so the wisecracking Leon S. Kennedy that we know from Damnation is now a dark, brooding, edgy boy.
I never thought my life would turn out this way.
So yeah, the film instantly reverts Leon back into where he was in Degeneration, but hey, at least he has a stubble. Anyway, the film shows a helicopter containing a bunch of soldiers and Chris Redfield as a BSAA agent.
So you're Chris Redfield, the expert on the living dead, the big hero.
Nah, Ash is still holding that title.
So, Mr. Expert, any advice on dealing with them?
Wow, what a condescending asshole. Take him down, Chris, with your witty remark. I'm prepared for this drinking game.
There's corporations out there creating viruses, turning people into bioweapons. People like you and me, your friends, family. There'll come a day you'll be faced with a decision. Kill them, or be killed.
No drinking then? To be fair to Chris, that was a really good reply. The reply was so good, the guy ended up apologizing to him. That reply illustrates so much in what Chris has went through personally. He managed to tell so much of his life story in that reply alone. It does a really damn good job at both summarizing his life while also punching us in the gut with the emotions. There's some surprisingly good writing and good character moments in this film that I can't help but to appreciate it once in a while. And this isn't the last of them. But first, a little bit of mission briefing. So there's a weapons dealer by the name of Glenarius who possesses BOWs, aka bioorganic weapons. Chris and the rest of the soldiers are tasked to retrieve him and also 2 undercover agents that went missing. The group arrives in ooh la la, that's gonna bring a lot of PTSD to our boy Chris here. And no, that's not the mansion from the original game, this is in Mexico, although it is very similarly designed. Chris and the soldiers then enter the mansion. When an old grandfather clock rings, there's a really nice transition editing between Chris looking at the watch and another soldier looking at the watch in another location. That's a really nice edit, I like that. And then you have this sequence where the soldiers look at a toy car and it moves itself. It's actually a remote car and the one controlling it is a pretty stealthy child zombie.
Are you okay?
And once again, nobody in this entire world knows how a freaking zombie works. Christ, you got an entire freaking town being infected by zombies so much that they have to be nuked from orbit. You got Africa being turned into a chaotic hellhole. Actually, that's not much of a change. And no one in this world knows how a zombie works? At the very least, know that you should shoot them in the head first, and somehow the child zombie got all 3 soldiers? These are some of the stealthiest zombies that I've ever seen in my entire life. They are able to hide from trained military personnel and snatch them one by one without being seen or heard. That's just amazing. Then again, this takes place after Resident Evil 6, so maybe the future zombies are designed to be closer to human beings. This also takes place before Resident Evil 7. Considering what the Baker family is turned into, maybe there's some truth in that assessment. Then again, maybe the military personnel are just really stupid. I love that this guy is struggling to fight against a zombie kid. Knife him in the head! Jesus Christ, you're a trained military personnel and don't know what to do in close quarter combat situations? Even a barely trained Leon S. Kennedy knows where to stab them zombies. Well, he didn't stab them in the head, but at least he knows where the knife is. Chris essentially said, screw this, and ran away from the room, bombing it and killing the zombies inside. presumably. We don't really know how accurate these bombs are. The guy who mod Chris got bitten and turned into a zombie in an instant. Chris also doesn't know what a knife is, but at least he got a secondary burst pistol in his hand, killing the zombie in an instant with a headshot.
Redfield, come in.
Wait, what? What the hell have you been doing for the past couple of minutes? There was a bunch of screaming and a freaking bomb upstairs and you were just chilling in there? That's right, guys. 2 soldiers got beaten by a zombie that doesn't even have legs. My god, these people are incompetent. Why are you with these people in the first place, Chris? 2 soldiers come in and instead of shooting the thing, they went inside a room and, well, this happened. I did not expect to see a death scene from the Paul W.S. Anderson films. The film version used lasers. Resident Evil 4 took those lasers, except it just blew you away if you failed. This film instead uses wires instead of lasers, which, by the way, it's impossible for any thin wires to actually cut human beings like that. Also, speaking of stealing, I did notice that the Resident Evil Outbreak game stole the Resident Evil fun from the Paul W.S. Anderson films. But why though? Chris is the only person who survived the entire thing and he had to bail from the house because there are too many zombies. He then meets up with Glenn the villain and a fight scene happens. I swear to god, these fight scenes are way too good for Resident Evil. It's some really nice choreographed fight scene, but I don't think it's appropriate for Resident Evil. There's even more over-the-top things show up, like Nina Williams and Bane Gigas. Tekken Tag 3 confirmed? It's revealed that the undercover agent and the child have both turned into zombies. Glenn leaves Chris to die with him fighting the zombies, but then he got saved by the helicopter. And this is where the title screen shows up. After the title scene, we see a flashback from Glenn on the day when he's married, but then he received an airstrike from above bombing his marriage. I mean, damn, he has to piss off some seriously powerful people if his marriage has to be bombed by an airstrike, which also has innocent people in them. Who the hell did he piss off? Obama? And then we see where the Vendetta title is coming from. He wants to pay revenge to the people who bombed his wedding by turning an entire city into zombies. I failed to see the logic behind that. But then again, this person is pretty cuckoo in the Cocoa Puffs, so I don't expect much logic behind him. Anyway, we cut to a university at Chicago where... Oh, yeah. Whoever has the idea of having Rebecca Chambers as a professor and using glasses deserves a freaking raise. She looks freaking gorgeous. It's like if she has descended from the heavens above and preparing to star in an SFM porn for academic purposes. And that's not an insult. SFM porns have come a long way, and they do look gorgeous, even if they're about as long as your ex-boyfriend's dick. Rebecca is showing a camera footage of a girl being hounded by zombies. The footage highlights the effect of a brand new model of the T-virus.
Caramel macchiato. Did you remember the chocolate chips?
And the whipped cream on top.
Good boy.
Like seriously, give anybody who designed the faces of these female characters a raise. These female characters don't have to dress like they're entering the Iron Fist tournament. They just have to look gorgeous in the face. Even the lesser known ladies like Sheva from 5, Angela from Degeneration, Helena from 6, even adult Sherry looks freaking gorgeous. People tend to forget that a female character's body isn't entirely their sexiest bit. If you have a sexy body but your face looks like a rotting corpse, then what's even the point? So give whoever designed her and the rest of the Resident Evil chicks a raise. They look stunning and gorgeous without the needs of being dressed up like they're entering a strip club. Not that I mind women dressing up like they're from a strip club, but I'm just saying, facial features are something that a lot of people overlook. Now, as much as I love Megane Rebecca Chambers, I don't see the point of her having glasses in the first place. Not that I mind, she still looks gorgeous either way, and I probably shouldn't throw stones. Anyway, Rebecca is constructing a vaccine for the brand new model of the zombie virus. Her coworker said that there's another delivery of the infected bodies, and Rebecca asked him to do something in the most adorable way possible.
I'm postdoc. I don't do that.
Unfortunately, just as her coworker goes out to do whatever stuff that she asked him to, his head got snapped by Discount Nina Williams. The vaccine development is complete, but a sudden blackout appears. Discount Nina spreads a virus gas throughout the ventilation system, and Rebecca is infected by the virus. Despite the virus infecting the other doctors instantly, Rebecca's infection was somehow slowed down. It's never explained why she doesn't instantly turn into a zombie. I think it's because she's a BSAA member and the members just received free anti-zombie vaccine that would at least slow the infection down. If this scene of the hand infecting the body is removed entirely, then I probably wouldn't have an issue in how Rebecca could just walk into the vaccine chamber and shoot herself with it before she got fully infected. And yes, that scene did happen, so I'm attributing this to convenient plot armor, and while there aren't a lot of witty remarks in the film, there are quite a bit of plot armors looking around. Rebecca goes out of the vaccine chamber and meets up with her infected co-worker. After a brief shock to the revelation, she used up all of her zombie fighting skills that she gained from the games into good use, dodging the zombies and smacking it with a fire extinguisher with zero prejudice. Thanks to her experience in dealing with the zombies, she is able to maintain composure and head on to the lab where she hides. She then drinks a bottled water, which is really weird because that bottled water is actually pretty important to the plot. We'll get to that later. Anyway, Discount Nina Williams bombs presumably the vaccine room, and that causes zombies to appear to the room where Rebecca is hiding. Damn, even when she doesn't have any weapons, she's still incredibly resourceful. And then of course, Chris Redfield and his teammates appear to save the day.
Chris?
You alright?
You cannot have a scene with Rebecca Chambers and not have her giving a thumbs up. It's practically her character trait. She'll be good friends with Lee Chaolan. Christ, what's with me and the Tekken references? Is this a blatant foreshadowing for a recap of Tekken Blood Vengeance?
You should be wearing a clean suit, or at least a mask.
Yeah, well. How you doing?
Chris, that's actually a really good advice. Anyway, moving on from that scene, we cut back to Rebecca and whoa! I don't remember her hair being that dark. Anyway, I have to give credits to the writers for the interactions between Chris and Rebecca. They do feel like the interaction between two old friends, more specifically senior and junior. Chris briefs her on Glenn, which is the reason behind all of the recent virus. The two realize that his bioweapons, like the Discount Nina Williams, come into Rebecca's place to destroy all the research. The reason why he's able to find Rebecca's research should really not surprise anyone, actually.
I reported our initial findings to the WHO, and then they sent it to facilities all over the world that specialize in the development of vaccines.
God damn it, UN! When have you been not guilty for horrendous crimes? When are you going to stop focusing on helping fictional women and children and actually start helping real-life women and children? Oh, excuse me, you don't. You're too busy leaking information to bioterrorists. It's rather baffling in why Rebecca didn't at least try to protect herself and her identity when developing the vaccine. Keep in mind that this film takes place after Resident Evil 6. We have gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and God knows how many games out there before 7, establishing that the Resident Evil universe is filled by a bunch of Saturday morning cartoon villains wanting to destroy the world through bioweapons. And some of these people just so happen to be really damn powerful in their social and economical status. At the very least, make some countermeasures to make sure that the vaccine development is safe. The moment you declare to the world that you are developing vaccines to counter bioweapons, you're practically painting a target in your head and asking the terrorists, hey, shoot me! And considering that she's working with the BSAA, an organization dedicated to destroy bioweapons, this kind of information should be classified. Anyway, Rebecca reveals that after comparing the new virus's DNA to all the bioweapons available, the structure is extremely close to the parasitic weapons used by the Los Illuminados, as in the cult group from Resident Evil 4. And that, my friend, is the most arbitrary reason to why Leon S. Kennedy has to be in the film at all. Then Chris suggested that they should talk to a real expert, which is weird because Leon S. Kennedy is more of a fighter of the Ganados rather than a scientist of it. Anyway, Rebecca is given her original STARS armor. This film really loves to play dress up with her, and you'll see why later. One of Chris's unit asked to why she switched from STARS to a professor in a university, and the answer is actually pretty good.
I guess in a way, I've always been interested in medical science. Then one day, I decided to make it my duty to stop people from abusing it.
It's a cliched reason for sure, but there's a passion within her in saving the world. We'll get to that more later. But first, a Breaking Bad reference?
Hey, I just realized DC and Damien aren't talking about Breaking Bad for once.
Hey, don't go there, Chris.
Yo, that shit's ahead of its time.
It's a goddamn masterpiece.
I don't disagree. It's just weird that you brought it up in 2017 when the series was finished 4 years ago at the time of the film. Probably development delays. I do miss Breaking Bad, and Better Call Saul is great, by the way. You guys should see that too. And here's where Leon S. Kennedy is staying, in some rocky mountains in Colorado. Ah, I see that Leon himself is watching my Damnation recap. That glass was a bit too strong, Leon. You'll pass out in the first 5 minutes if you drink that full for every shot.
Careful you don't scare the locals. Your stealth's for shit.
Well, never mind then. We're playing this game. Take a shot.
Well, look who it is. The BSAA's golden boy and Dr. High Hopes. Hey, another bottle here.
Cancel that.
Hey, who the hell?
Enough! All right?
My god, the way these two act reminds me of the way me and my brother act 10 years ago. I can see why Chris really wants to make it official with him. He just really wants a brother-in-law. Turns out that the entire conversation is being monitored by Glenn, who asked Discount Nina to keep Rebecca alive and kill the rest. Why? I'll explain later.
Look, this shit's spreading fast and thick.
All of the researchers and staff at my university were infected.
This again, huh? It's like I'm stuck in a goddamn loop.
Wow, that is shockingly profound for the series. It might not sound that way at first, but well, let me explain. So, Yahtzee did his review on Resident Evil 6, and one of his main criticism on the series' overall plot is that the world seems to have an inexhaustible supply of cartoonist villains that just never stop on using bioweapons to take over the world, or whatever BS reasons that they have for the day. And he also brought up a good point here.
And doesn't this render all the hardship and struggles of the previous games completely pointless? If I were Chris Redfield, I'd fucking give up.
Fast forward to 2017, and we have Leon on the verge of giving up. Not only that, but Capcom made Resident Evil 7, one of the best games in the series that I recommend to anyone, and Resident Evil 2 Remake, also one of the best games in the series that I recommend to anyone. It's almost as if whoever is behind the team on Resident Evil right now are actually listening to criticisms and try to improve the series in general. The idea of Leon being exhausted on saving the world from bioterrorists is actually credible. It really serves to deconstruct the overall Resident Evil plot and how the characters are just tired of it. I'm just shocked that it was Leon who got tired first when Chris went through so many things that are much worse. These little tidbits of good writing and good character development shows that this series has a lot of potential. It's just that most of the time, it's always either average or just really bad. I find this scene of these three characters talking about their motivation and their life goals to be infinitely more interesting than pretty much anything that the series has to offer in terms of writing and character development.
So you got an arms dealer on one side, and on the other, a government dropping bombs on weddings. Who's the bad guy here?
That is a good point, Leon. It's as if he's brought down from heaven to deconstruct how mediocre the overall plot of the series is.
Who's the bad guy here?
Arius, and it's our mission to bring his ass down.
Your mission, not mine.
God damn it, Leon!
Stop!
And it's up to Rebecca, of all people, to stop the two bickering. Then Rebecca did something that instantly puts her in the higher tiers of Resident Evil waifus.
I created a vaccine, and I tried it on myself, and it works. My blood holds the answers. If I die, get this to a lab you trust.
That is pretty badass. She's thinking 2-3 steps ahead and prioritizes in saving the world, and she's already considering a possible scenario where she's dead. You can be an undercover mercenary who kills monsters for a living, and you still wouldn't be an inch of a badass as a girl who legitimately wants to save the world and prepares to die trying for it. Congratulations, Rebecca Chambers. You are now officially one of the members of the top tier Resident Evil waifus. Her speech just silences the two most badass guys in the series. It's amazing. Unfortunately, Rebecca isn't really that much of a fighter, as Discount Nina got her from the back and snatched her away. Some random guy shows up and Leon reveals that this is the person who sold him out during an incident that he described early on. It turns out that Glenn, the arms dealer, was hired by the remaining members of the Los Illuminados to launch a bioterror attack. But before they can extract information out of him, it's not too long before Discount Gigas come in with a freaking minigun. Ouch! No one is saving that poor lady? Christ, this film really hates the background civilians to the point where even the heroes don't bother about them. We'll get to that. But don't you worry guys, even if the background civilians are pretty much dead, Leon and Chris somehow managed to survive that massive barrage of shots by, plot armor? And of course, the guy who set Leon up got shot and succumbed to his wounds. He gave Leon his phone and asked him to save his family. But then his family called in the phone and, well...
Where's Patricio? Put my husband on the phone right...
Yeah, that sucks. I just hate the fact that despite Rebecca being the only person having the actual will to save the world, she has to be reduced to damsel in distress. Just when we can have a badass female character, she has to be reduced to damsel in distress status just so that the boys can flex their muscles. Holy freaking crap, I sound like Anita Sarkeesian for 1 second. And speaking of damsel in distress, we got... I don't even know how to describe this. Rebecca is now dressed up in a wedding dress. God damn it, Capcom. Why do you love to put your female characters in really sexy and awkward situations? I didn't sign up for this, Capcom. This isn't SFM Fap Time O'Clock. This is serious recap o'clock. And you're not making it easy for my dick to handle this. Anyway, she's in a wedding dress because... well, Glenn wants to recreate his wedding scene because Rebecca looks pretty much like his wife, and he does all of this by not just having the stage props on, but he also has his dead family members and friends reanimated. Even for Resident Evil, this is creepy as hell. I swear to God, this sounds like a hentai scenario. There was that hentai of a girl who kidnaps guys and cut their body parts off to create the most perfect boyfriend after having sex with them. I forgot the name, but it does exist. Rebecca finds out how the A virus is activated, and so are Leon and Chris when they are on the way to save her. I have to admit, the plan is pretty clever. They actually infected mineral waters and have people to drink the virus so that they can be triggered when a certain trigger virus comes into the system. I think that explains why Rebecca's virus growth isn't as strong when she was in the lab. She just doesn't drink the specific mineral water that much, but then she drinks it again later, so... I don't get it.
Nicely done, Professor. It's no wonder you survived Raccoon City.
As far as I know, she left before Raccoon City became a zombie town, so, no, she doesn't survive Raccoon City. She did survive the Arclay Mountains and the rest of Resident Evil 0. And by the way, this creepy-ass scene keeps on going.
I'll rewrite the past. Rebecca... meet Sarah.
Okay, even for Resident Evil, that is creepy as hell.
On second thought, I'm going to replace your arm with Sarah's.
That's what it looks like.
He's out of his mind.
The trigger virus is spread across the city and people got turned into zombies. And now New York has finally turned into Raccoon City. The group figures out a plan to save the city, find Rebecca, distribute the vaccine, and get Glenn because Chris can handle his revenge. And the film decides that the two freaking stooges are the stars of the show as they got their badass vehicles and their badass action scenes. Leon got one badass action scene with him fighting zombie dogs and endangering the lives of civilians on the road. At least you killed the dog? This entire scene is just ridiculous. He throws a bomb to the back with zero consideration towards the people around him. Like, goddamn, Leon, you have innocent, uninfected people around you. I know that you're too tired of this crap, but damn, have some decency. And Capcom shows its stance on gender politics again. It's almost as if she's going to be put in an SFM porn. I kind of regret making that comparison now. And she got infected by a stronger version of the trigger virus created by her blood. Spoiler alert, she will live. Capcom needs to have balls the size of Jupiter if they want to kill any of the Resident Evil protagonists. The chopper destroys one of the tanks for the trigger virus, and they got Discount Nina. That was anticlimactic. Chris arrives in Glenn's hideout, which isn't really a hideout if it's easily found. Glenn reveals that Rebecca's zombie trigger has a 20-minute timer, and Chris has to get to her ASAP. On the way to the hideout, he got confronted by zombies and, well, he went full John Wick on them. I can't show the scene in its entirety, but the point is, he just went full John Wick on these zombies, and it was so over the top that I actually rather enjoyed it. Then Leon joins in the fight and brings in his own zombie John Wick shooting scene.
Leon, sorry I'm late. Had to take the stairs.
You can watch this entire fight scene on YouTube or just see the film yourself. It's just way too over the top and ridiculous, and I can't help but to really enjoy it. Anyway, Chris and Leon split up, and a boss fight begins between Chris and Discount Gigas. Sorry, but I just don't buy that. And Discount Gigas got easily taken down by a single incendiary grenade. What an anticlimactic boss fight. And then more John Wick action scene shows up. This time it's between Chris and Glenn. Again, I won't show the entire thing, but damn, it's so over the top, it's actually pretty fun to watch. Chris wins the fight scene, but, well, that's a load of BS. They both should have fell down. Plot armor strikes again. And Chris still has 7 minutes left. That's impressive. So we should be able to just cure her at this moment, right? Oh, I take that back. So this isn't the end for Glenn and Discount Gigas. And just like any other Resident Evil villains, just when you're about to have a little bit of chill, they just have to pop out again as a giant monster. And now it's Leon's turn to shine. He appears from the elevator riding down a motorcycle, and with 0 plans on his hands, he just slid his cycle down. But then he gets grabbed by the monster. To be fair, unloading my entire magnum ammos always work on the bosses. At least this boss fight scene is not too anticlimactic. Then Chris's teammates came in with a freaking railgun. Damn! And I thought Superman was being inconsiderate. To put a belated fight scene short, Leon and Chris are able to blow the boss off into smithereens. And now the BSAA is responsible for the death of hundreds! Yay! And by the way, I did tell you that Rebecca is safe. What should have been the most badass character in the entire film is resorted into becoming Capcom's dress-up doll. Sorry Rebecca, but I ain't fine with you being a freaking dress-up doll for this film. At least Billy has his hostage moments. The group spreads the vaccine to the entire New York and somehow able to turn the zombies back to life. I'm now concerned with the zombies who lost their limbs. This is where Leon brings his closing statements.
I never thought my life would turn out this way.
And I blame Capcom for putting you through all of this. Seriously, just give Leon a break, Capcom.
And once again, we find ourselves back where we started. We got the bad guys. Hope we made the world a little safer.
How much longer can we keep going on like this?
I don't know.
And Capcom is going to be off making more Resident Evil sequels because, well, let's be honest, it's our fault. We want more Resident Evil. At least people are asking them to remake the older games, so it's gonna be a little while before we can actually get into Resident Evil 8 proper. So that is Resident Evil Vendetta, and what are my thoughts on it? Well, it's a pretty fun film. Now sure, it's an action-packed Resident Evil film and not a survival horror one, but the action is so epic and over the top that I just can't help but to enjoy it. It's not as fan service heavy as Damnation, but it is sure as hell entertaining in general. I also legitimately really like the character moments and development in the film. They really do try to develop the characters, even if you're not familiar with any of them from the games. Some of the writing is really good too, and they did a good job deconstructing the dumbness of the overall plot of the series, but keyword there being some, and the overall package just isn't up to par in my opinion. This is easily the most accessible film out of all the CGI films, and the average person would have tons of fun watching it, even if you don't know the characters. It has tons and tons of issues, but overall, I have tons and tons of fun with it. I'm giving Resident Evil Vendetta 3 caps out of 5. It's a pretty simple, easily consumable CGI action film. Trash, if I have to be really honest with you, but it does the job, and I really enjoyed it. Nothing else much to say other than keep up with the facial features, guys. You are really nailing it. That's all for the video today. If you like this, you can go ahead and click the like button and subscribe for more. If you wish, you can donate to my channel, links down below, and thanks for watching.